Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 13 of Season 3 NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the longest race of the season, the Coca-Cola 600, here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We are getting set for 60 laps of racing here at one of the craziest mile-and-a-half racetracks we go to on the schedule. Now, first off, I just want to say thank you guys for being patient over the past week, because I didn't get a chance to record races for two reasons. One, I couldn't get to record a race before the Sunday before last, and two, all last week I was sick, so I wasn't in the right frame of mind as well as in the right health state to record a race. But now that I'm healthy again and everything's back under control, we are good to go to continue on for the rest of Season 3. But before we take a look at the starting lineup, as you see a few qualifying errors, don't worry about that. Let's take a look at the point standings coming into the race today. After the last points race we ran, which I believe was Pocono, Charles Sanford leads the points by 13 points over James Qualls. And then third is Emmanuel Hartnett, fourth Dylan Jacobs, fifth David Rivera, sixth Dylan Young, seventh Pichu London, eighth Preston Plord, and then a tie for ninth is Zach Flickinger and Joshua Sekuli. Right now the two wildcard drivers coming into the race would be Rafael LeDuc and Chris Stollerton for being the highest outside the top 10 that are in the top 30 in points with a win. With that said, let's take a look at the starting lineup for the race tonight. Starting in the last row is Jake Rogers and Charles Jackson, but the top 10 in the lineup, the points leader, Charles Sanford, gets his first pole this season, and he's going to start next to Emmanuel Hartnett. Row 2 is William Brock and Tim Fiegel. Row 3 is Dorian Facepuncher Jonathan Zorling. Row 4, P.J. Williams, Rafael LeDuc. And then Row 5, Joshua Sekuli and Chris Stollerton. With that said, let's get the command to fire engines for the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte.
Drivers, start your engines.
Well, there was the command, as yes, 60 laps here on a mile-and-a-half racetrack. This is going to be a long race, but exciting. I did some testing prior to recording, and we could be in for one of the best races of the season, and maybe one of the best races in the history of this series, depending on what happens. There is going to be a lot of different pit strategies going on throughout the race tonight, since the pit frequency is set up to ×3, so they may pit at least 3 times. They'll have to pit throughout this race. It all depends on who's going to risk it and who's going to conserve. Just looking around to see if everybody's going to bunch up properly for the start of the race, and it looks like for the most part they will, so no worries there. But anyways, we are getting set for racing here at Charlotte, and boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing. drag race at the line, but somehow, someway, Emmanuel Hartnett led that lap. But look at the margin, it is 0.000, so that tells me it was by hundredths of a second, or thousandths of a second, as I'm trying to look. 1/1000th of a second. Imagine if that would have been the finish. That would have been incredible. But Charles Sanford now retakes the top spot on the track, leads that lap, so he gets that extra bonus point to help him out in the points. But now Hartnett is going to go by very, very easily over the 03. And here comes in for second Hartnett's Gibbs teammate, P.J. Williams. So right now, this could end up being right now a 1-2 for Joe Gibbs Racing throughout the field, as things are starting to get shuffled around the field, as now we got a couple of young motorsports drivers coming up in the top 5. Chris Dollerton and Phil Parker, with Joshua Collard in that 43 STP Dodge working his way into the picture. And now here comes a Chevy into the picture, Matt McIntyre in the 24. And look at these two teammates who are 1-2 in the points. Charles Sanford is going to get bypassed by teammate James Qualls for the position. Qualls is definitely hoping for Sanford to have a mediocre run tonight so he could potentially take the points lead over. Rafael Leduc in the 99 is hoping to try and rebound after having a couple of races where he just hasn't been able to get the best of luck. He is currently a wildcard driver, but he wants to get himself guaranteed into the chase this season, and right now he's up here battling for 5th and goes on by. Top 10 in points, 9th in points. In fact, Zach Flickinger now up here towards the front. Chris Michaels, who is in desperation to try and get some good finishes going his way if he has any chance of getting in the top 10 in points to make the chase. Because after this race, that is the first half of the regular season, and then we get to the second half of the regular season where it's all about the road to the chase. But anyways, Jessica Shelton's up here in the top 10, and she is looking to try and get win number 2 this season in hopes of getting perhaps a guaranteed wildcard spot for the chase. But up here at the front, look at James Qualls go. A big run for the 70, and he goes on by the 24 of Matt McIntyre. So that moves the 70 up to second. But he's got one more car to get, and that's the leader, Emmanuel Hartnett, in the 20, who has pretty much been in the lead almost ever since the green flag dropped, except for one lap, which was lap number 2. But right now, so far, this has been a good start for Retro Racing Enterprises in this race. All 4 of their cars are up in the top 10. You got Qualls in second, and now Jessica Shelton going to try and take it away. Charles Sanford looks like he's up to the 6th position again, and then Kyle Matthews in 7th. New driver in second place, and that is Zach Flickinger in the 4. Zach Flickinger has had one of the most impressive rookie seasons I have ever seen in the history of this series. He's been running very consistently, really well consistently. He's had 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. He's currently tied for 9th in the point standings, and he's looking to try and keep his momentum going forward in hopes of maintaining top 10 positioning in the points. But he's got Dylan Young hot on his tail. Dylan Young's one of those drivers that is trying to get his first win this season. He fell from 3rd to 6th in points after Pocono over a week ago. Right now, D Young, or should I call him by his new nickname given by Trent Dunham, Dung. So Dung right now up here trying to get in the top 5. And it looks like he is now in the top 5. As meanwhile, Sanford back up to 2nd, and now he's back in a familiar sight trying to fight Emmanuel Hartnett for the lead. Will he be able to make a move here in turn 1? Or is he going to be patient and wait. Right now, the top 5, it is Toyota, Chevy, Ford. Highest running Dodge right now is Zachary Fitzwater, who's currently scored in the 9th position. Meanwhile, up here, it looks like Dung is going to try and go for the 2nd spot. Oh, he still has his nose underneath. Can he make the move stick? It looks like he might going into turn 3. So Dylan Young going to have a run for 2nd, and it looks like he's going to clear him by the time they enter turn 3, and he does. Move the 2 car to the number 2 position on track. Right now, Jake Rogers has been in the back of the field pretty much all race long, looking around to see how some of the drivers are progressing in the field. And Kyle Matthews, who was in the top 10 just a few laps ago, he's fallen way behind. Last time scored in 23rd. Meanwhile, Dylan Jacobs, who I believe started in the back of the field, has been slowly working his way up, but pit stops, green flag pit stops, is the first of perhaps 3 rounds of pit stops they're going to have to make. And that's stacked up the field big time for these guys to slow down in order for them to get into pit road. But yeah, it looks like Emmanuel Hartnett sacrificed the lead to come into pit road for his first of potentially 3 scheduled pit stops. And it looks like Hartnett's gonna barely beat out his teammate Carson Gum out of the pit road in that first group, and now a giant second group. I think this is everyone else that did not pit in that first group are all here. I don't see anybody that stayed out. Yeah, that is everybody who did not pit in that first group, all on pit road. And it looks like, oh man, it's going to be a drag race, but Matt McIntyre gets out of pit road first of the second group. So now it's going to be, I think, going to be between the 24 and the 20 of who's going to be the race leader whenever everything cycles around. But everybody managed, it looked like everyone managed to get on and off pit road pretty well. So no stack-ups, I don't think, happened. But it looks like for the time being it's going to be the 24 of Matt McIntyre as your leader. But here comes the Gibbs teammates with a full head of steam on the outside lane. But Matt's going to slam the door on the 20. So now make it up here a 4-car fight for the lead. And here comes Dung. Dylan Dung Young up to the front. And then it's a big gap, like over a second separating 4th to 5th. As Benjamin Miles is actually going to go by Charles Sanford for that 5th position. And Dylan Young starting to pull away from everyone with the lead. Meanwhile, the 2 Gibbs drivers of Carson Gum and Emmanuel Hartnett clear Matt McIntyre for 2nd and 3rd, but now here comes Hartnett. He's one to try and get back up to the lead again, but Dylan Young has that spot for the time being. As I'm looking around the field to see if anybody actually ended up getting into anyone on pit road, and doesn't look like it. Everybody got through relatively unscathed and relatively clean, so that's a good sign for things to come for the rest of the night. As far as pit stops, all 43 cars or 42 cars are still on track. As when we cross the line, now we'll be 1/3 of the way through the Coca-Cola 600. So with that said, let's do a full field rundown. At the 1/3 mark, Dylan Young currently is your race leader. 2nd is Matt McIntyre. 3rd is Emmanuel Hartnett. 4th, Benjamin Miles. 5th is Carson Gum. 6th is Zachary Fitzwater. 7th is Charles Sanford. 8th, Austin LaPlante. 9th, Dylan Thoreau. 10th is Tim Fiegel. 11th is PJ Williams. 12th, Ashlyn Boyd. 13th, Chris Michaels. 14th, Pichu London. 15th, Rafael LeDuc. 16th, is Dorian Facepuncher. 17th, Zach Flickinger. 18th, Dylan Pote. 19th, Dylan Jacobs. 20th, Seth Cole. 21st is Phil Parker. Battle for 22nd. It looks like David Rivera is going to take the spot. 23rd is Charles Jackson. 24th, DJ Curtis. 25th, Mark Lane. 26th is Trent Dunham. 27th is Jay Jefferson. 28th, Jonathan Zorleen. 29th is Chris Dollarton. 30th, James Qualls. 31st is Kyle Matthews. 32nd is Johnny Gardner. 33rd is James McLeod. 34th is Andrew Rich. 35th, Sean Galligan. 36th is Joshua Sekuli. 37th, Preston Plord. 38th, Jake Rogers. 39th, Paul Minnick. 40th, Joshua Collard. 41st is William Brocken, and 42nd is Jessica Sheldon, and she looks like is about to potentially get lapped here very soon, and she actually, it looks like she does have damage. She got some big time driver side damage. She might have ended up getting into somebody on pit road, and she's off the pace, as now Zachary Fitzwater, who's the new leader, and everyone goes on by. So we're going to stay with the 0-2 of Sheldon, because I don't know how in the world she ended up getting damage. I don't know if she ended up slamming into somebody on pit road. Let's actually investigate and look around. Let's look on drivers' bunch of different drivers' right sides and see if there's any like donut marks. So we're gonna look around to make sure of that. So far, I don't really see anybody right now with tire marks on their right sides. But then again, it is kind of hard to tell a little bit depending on if you can see it properly. And so far, I'm not seeing any. I'm trying to go through them one at a time just to double check. None on Kyle Matthews, so we know for sure it wasn't him. Coming up on the 5 of Jay Jefferson and the 23 of Chris Dollarton. They're clean. Let's see if it's Trent Dunham. Because I am very curious to see who could it have been that got into it with Jessica Shelton on pit road. Yeah, so far I don't see anybody, so maybe, perhaps, it's best left to everyone's interpretations. Oh man, but they were 3 wide. That was close. That was really close. That could have been disastrous if they had not backed off each other. But yeah, the field has gotten separated big time as a result of the 0-2 of Sheldon being in the way of everybody. But Dylan Young has the lead once again. But a battle for second, and looks like Fitzwater is going to clear the 20, and then here comes Sanford. Sanford has been pretty much up here in the top 10 all night long so far, as we are approaching the halfway point. But man, look at those 3 Joe Gibbs cars, the 89, 19, and 20, but the 20, oh, this is a sign for round 2 of pit stops. Emmanuel Hartnett pulls out into pit road, and it looks like, okay, so far it's only him and Pichu London that decide to come into pit road. Look, now here comes more. Zorleen, Matthews is in. So only 4 cars pitted out of that group of cars, as I'm looking around to get to the front of the field, and now more cars are coming in, but we got some people staying out. Sanford is going to stay out another lap. Same with Dung and PJ Williams. Looks like everyone on back to, I want to say, Johnny Gardner that is on track has not pitted. And oh man, there was some little bit of contact there with Galligan and Plord. That could have been pretty bad if they didn't back off. But now here comes everyone else. So, man, it is going to be interesting to see who's going to be the leader now after all this is taking place. Trying to get to the 20 of Emmanuel Hartnett. There he is. He was the first one to come in the pit road for the second round. So I'm going to be curious to see if he's going to be able to cycle around as the leader once again. But it looks like right now Fitzwater could have it whenever they cycle, but we'll see. Who was the first one to come out of here? It looks like it was Dylan Young. That was the first one to come out in this group. Oh man, it's going to be close, but I think Fitzwater is going to get him. Oh, he's going to get split. Oh, wow, that was close. That could have been bad if the two stayed in the middle. That could have been a bad situation. But it looks like Carson Gum is now going to be the race leader. And now Fitzwater's going to go by Dylan Young for second. And now we got this little group of cars from fourth on back. Ashland Boyd is up here in the top 5. We haven't talked about him all night. Benjamin Miles is now up here, and Tim Fiegel, who we haven't really talked about, he's up here in the top 5 now. But you can tell everybody behind Dylan Young is definitely faster by almost a whole second. And I think that is the advantage with some cars whenever they get a lap or two fresher tires than everyone else. They can catch up to those drivers pretty quickly, and you can tell they are closing in. Yeah, they gained over a half a second that lap, the 55 and company did. But right now it is the 19 of Carson Gum as your race leader, and I recall he did win a race earlier this season, if I remember correctly. It might have been... I'm thinking either Talladega or Kansas when he won. He's trying to go for win number 2 this season, and he is hoping he can qualify for the rest of the regular season and get good finishes to get in the top 30 in points in order to get a wild card spot. As now, they are approaching some of the cars who had been falling back from track position and also pit stops. First one that's going to get feel that effect is James McLeod. He's about to go a lap down, and they're also going to catch Jessica Shelton again, but she's not as off the pace as she was earlier. Maybe by about 6 miles per hour she's slower than everyone else, but it looks like she won't be too much of a problem. And it looks like she did get that left side damage repaired, so she is a little bit better, but still not by much. But she will end up going 2 laps down here momentarily as we're approaching the 2/3 point of the race. Also right in front of Carson Gum, they were racing in front of him. Paul Minnick and William Brock, they're fighting to try and stay on the lead lap, but Carson is going to go on by those guys, and then they won't have anybody really to approach unless they're running much faster than the guys in 38th, which they're not really. So I think once they go by William Brock, that's all the lap traffic that these leaders will have to put up with for at least a long time. But now, new leader Benjamin Miles in the 55 goes to the point. Fiegel now into second and Sanford a third. As now William Brock is going to go a lap down. As now that we are at the 2/3 mark, let's do a full field rundown once again. Benjamin Miles is your race leader now. Second is Tim Fiegel. Third is Charles Sanford. Fourth, Matt McIntyre. Fifth, Ashland Boyd. Sixth is Carson Gum. Seventh is Zachary Fitzwater. Eighth is Dylan Young. Ninth is Dylan Thoreau. 10th is Emmanuel Hartnett. 11th is Mark Lane, 12th PJ Williams, 13th Pichu London, 14th Charles Jackson, 15th Rafael LeDuc, 16th Dylan Poteet, 17th Austin LaPlante, 18th is Seth Cole, 19th David Rivera, 20th is DJ Curtis, 21st Dylan Jacobs, 22nd Dorian Facepuncher, 23rd James Qualls, 24th Chris Dollarton, 25th is Phil Parker, 26th is Jonathan Zorling, 27th is Zachary Fitzwater, or not Fitzwater, Zach Flickinger, 28th Jay Jefferson, 29th is Chris Michaels, 30th is Johnny Gardner, 31st is Trent Dunham, 32nd Kyle Matthews, 33rd is Joshua Sekuli, 34th Joshua Collard, 35th Andrew Rich, 36th was Sean Galgan, 37th Jake Rogers, and then 38th, last car on the lead lap, is Preston Blord, as we are getting very close to perhaps the third and final rounds of pit stops. Probably here within the next 2 to 3 laps, I would say, would be when they're going to come into pit road one more time. But Benjamin Miles right now has the spots. Right now in the top 5 it is Dodge, Toyota, Chevy, Ford. But here comes Carson Gum, who's trying to make a comeback to the front. Couldn't quite make his nose, couldn't get his nose to stick underneath of the 10 of Ashland Boyd for second. Ashland Boyd just basically had a bigger run off the corner and just managed to hold off the 19, at least for the time being. As now a battle for 5th, Dung gonna take the position away from the 91 of Fitzwater. Oh, Carson Gum gonna try that move again, and he makes it work. Huge run. Oh, but he's gonna slow down into pit road. Same with Miles. There's the sign of pit stops, and actually Hartnett got in first once again. Battle for the lead, though, up here. Oh, and the caution is out. Oh, and it was for a crash. Oh, and it was Rafael LeDuc and Dylan Jacobs. Oh man, could that rivalry have reared its ugly head? Perhaps. This is gonna really make things interesting. Caution comes out for the first time, and it was a 2-car accident involving 2 friendly rivals that may not be so friendly now, despite the fact they will be teammates next season. Rafael LeDuc and Dylan Jacobs both crash as pit stops were happening. This is going to really make the field interesting as to who the leader will be when they all pit. Right now, the leader currently scored. I am not sure if it's Dylan Young or Matt McIntyre. I believe they had Matt McIntyre scored, but now they're going to come into pit road. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the first time tonight here at Charlotte, as a 2-car accident causes a mix-up in the running order now. So we're going to find out what happens with that after we look at the replay. But here's a look at what brought out the caution for the first time tonight here at the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. No, as it turns out, it didn't get caused by the 99 and the 78 getting together. It was actually the 98 of Seth Cole. I don't know what he was so upset with the 99 about. It looked like he just flat out dumped the 99 of LeDuc up into the outside wall and actually ended up damaging his own car. And that caused the 99 to go up into the outside wall. I thought he could have maybe salvaged some, but he's going to slide down in front of the 78 of Dylan Jacobs, and man, DJ Curtis got very lucky he got through that. He was right on the back bumper of the 78, but the 78 slams into the 99 as he had nowhere to go. He had no idea the 99 was going to slide down the racetrack. Watch this. I think when the 78 got airborne, it helped for the 14 to go on by and not get into the back of the 78 after the fact. But the 99 sits in the middle of the racetrack, but everybody did a great job to avoid the 99 after the 78 hit the 99. But man, that was a pretty hard impact for the 78 and the 99. As let's go back and take a look at how this started one more time, just to see what really happened, just to make sure. Yeah, it just looked like the 98 just flat out dumped the 99. I don't know if there was some contact between these two earlier in the race and we didn't know about it, because that looked intentional to me. So we might have a new rivalry, for Leduc is making rivals all over the place. But watch this impact one more time, and then watch the 14. Just barely got a little bit of contact with 78, but otherwise kept on going. In fact, we're going to take an onboard shot with the 14 of DJ Curtis. Onboard with DJ Curtis. Watch as all this unfolds in front of him, and watch him get through this accident. Just a little touch with the 78, but kept on going with hardly any damage. That is incredible. So after that caution came out, we got 2 cars out of the race as expected, and they are Rafael Leduc and Dylan Jacobs. Both cars immediately retired out of the race after this. But the running order's a little weird, but at least it's not a massive mix-up. There's only about, I would say, 9 to 10 cars ahead of the leader, which is Dylan Young. So Dylan Young is going to be your leader when we get back to racing with 9 to go. Second is Matt McIntyre. Third is Ashland Boyd. Fourth is Dylan Poteet. Fifth is Charles Sanford. Sixth is Tim Fiegel. Seventh, Austin LaPlante. Eighth is Charles Jackson. Ninth, PJ Williams. 10th is David Rivera. 11th is DJ Curtis. 12th is Jay Jefferson. 13th is Mark Lane. 14th, Dorian Facepuncher. 15th is James Qualls. 16th is Chris Stollerton. 17th is Zach Flickinger. 18th, Jake Rogers. 19th, Chris Michaels. 20th, Johnny Gardner. 21st is Preston Blord. 22nd is Sean Galligan. 23rd, Andrew Rich. 24th is Trent Dunham. 25th, Phil Parker. 26th, Joshua Collard. 27th is Joshua Sekuli, and then everyone behind them's a lap down, and then everyone in front of the leaders are on the tail end of the lead lap. But yeah, green flag back out, 9 laps to go in the Coca-Cola 600. Everybody should be good to go on gas for the rest of the way. Dylan Young has the lead, but here comes Ashland Boyd with the run. Ashland Boyd trying to go for win number 2 this season. Yeah, Ashland Boyd has the spot, but Poteet is right there on his tail. I'm actually going to look back at DJ Curtis, and I think maybe that slight bit of contact with the 78 in that crash may have affected him a little bit. He is a tad off the pace, but not severely off the pace. But the 43 and the 01 pull in the pit road. Not sure as to why, but regardless, the 10 still is the race leader. The 31 still trying to figure out what is it he's going to have to do to get around the 10 for that lead, as the 10 has got 6 cars ahead of him, and he's about to put Carson Gum a lap down. And then 5 more left in front of him for him to get on by, and now it's 6 to go. Charles Jackson, who we haven't talked about all night long, he's up here in the mix, up in 3rd. And then you got LaPlante in the Lowe's car, Lowe's being the big sponsor here at Charlotte, trying to get a win for sponsorship purposes here at the home track of Lowe's Lowe's home improvements stores and such. As anyways, the 10 still leads, and he has a bit of a gap separating himself from the 31. And the 10, all he's got to do is get by the 21, the 55, and the 88, and he'll be in that clean air position. But he's stuck behind the 55, and the 31 is coming up hot on his tail, and he might, if he can... Oh, man, this could get really interesting, as now the 10's going to go underneath the 55, and now underneath the 88. So that will be the end of the lap traffic for the most part for the leaders, but now a new fight for second. Here comes Jackson. Jackson gonna go by the 31 of Poteet. So now Jackson is going to try and challenge the 10 for the lead. Can he get there? And he does. He's got to run. He's got to run on the inside, and he's going to go by the 10 of Ashland Boyd for the lead. Basically, this race is going to end up going to the 00 unless everyone that's up here fighting for position can get around these lap cars and get a big run. There's going to be 2 to go here at the line, and more cars are coming into pit road. I don't know if that's a sign that they may not be good on gas. I don't know. But right now, the 00 has 3 cars in between him and second place, Austin LaPlante, but LaPlante is getting through the lap traffic pretty darn well. He's got less than a lap and a half to try and get up to the 00. White flag is about to wave. White flag is out here at Charlotte, and Pichu London, he's going to try and stick it underneath the 00. That could be, and the caution comes out. Caution is out. I don't know if they got to the line in time. I think they did, so they are going to race it back. And here comes LaPlante. LaPlante, thanks to help of the lap traffic, going underneath the 00. LaPlante's got the lead. Oh, but he slows down. Oh, and there was a car on track, and that cost LaPlante. Checkered flag waving. Charles Jackson wins at Charlotte. He wins the Coca-Cola 600. Looked like the accident happened in 3 and 4. I couldn't tell what car that was. That might have been, I think, the 98 of Seth Cole, but big front-end damage on Joshua Sekuli. I think that is what went down. DJ Curtis. No, it might have been DJ Curtis, but yeah, there is Seth Cole. It might have been him. But yeah, that was a crazy finish, and man, dramatic finish at the end for sure. And what was a fantastic race, and Charles Jackson gets the W. Came out of nowhere in the end and managed to hold off the 48, despite the fact the 48 pretty much cost himself the win by slowing up. I don't know if it was because the car was still on track that wrecked, I don't know, but regardless, Jackson gets the win. And let's look at the rest of the results. Ashland Boyd comes through with a phenomenal run in second. And how about PJ Williams? I think this is his first top 5 of the season. Comes through in third. Austin LaPlante was so close to getting that win, but comes through fourth. And then Dylan Poteet gets a much-needed good finish in fifth to keep him afloat in the top 30. Matt McIntyre comes through in the 6th position. Mark Lane manages to come back after being in the back of the pack, comes through and gets 7th. David Rivera with a great run in 8th. Tim Fiegel with a solid run in 9th. And the points leader, Charles Sanford, gets a great run in 10th. Rest of the top 20 was Chris Dollarton, James Qualls, Dorian Facepuncher, Dylan Young, Jay Jefferson, Sean Galligan, Chris Michaels, Andrew Rich, Johnny Gardner, Zach Flickinger, and then the rest of the lead lap cars were Trent Dunham and DJ Curtis, and everyone else that finished were a lap or more down in the end, and they were Joshua Sekuli, Phil Parker, Pichu London, Carson Gum, excuse me, Emmanuel Hartnett, Benjamin Miles, Dylan Thoreau, Zachary Fitzwater, Jonathan Zorleen, Preston Blord, Joshua Collard, Jake Rogers, Kyle Matthews, Paul Minnick, Jessica Sheldon, James McLeod, Seth Cole, and William Brock. And then the 2 cars that were out of the race after our only wreck, well, not only wreck, the only main caution were Rafael LeDuc and Dylan Jacobs. But that does it for our coverage here after a crazy and phenomenal Coca-Cola 600 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Next week, we go back to an old favorite from the Walmart Cup Series days, Coca-Cola Super Speedway for the Coca-Cola 500. But until then, here are your results, rookie points and regular points heading into Coca-Cola. And this is Levi McIntyre saying, welcome back, and see you next time.